What's happening, pod gang? Simon Gibson here. The podcast is Success Won't Come Calling, which is the show for people who want to be better tomorrow than they were today. I'm on my way to the studio. It's a beautiful day, and I'm going to be meeting with my next guest, who is Seann Walsh. Now, I've mentioned before that I did a period doing stand-up comedy. Seann is also a comedian, and we started around the same time. Now, whilst my career didn't really get off the ground, Seann's definitely did. Within a couple of years of his first gig, he was winning awards, he was starting national tours, he became a regular on TV, and generally regarded as one of the finest talents to emerge from the UK comedy scene for many a year. Seann's also an accomplished actor. He's been a radio host, a podcast host, and a TV presenter. Basically, I don't think there's any art that Seann can't turn his skills towards. He's also had to deal with challenges, particularly in the last few years. The first time was arising from a TV show that he was a contestant on called Strictly Come Dancing, and that led to a media storm and a social media storm that I'm looking forward to talking to Seann about, and which understandably had a very profound effect on his life and his career. And finally, of course, there's been COVID to contend with, which has stopped the vast majority of comedians and all entertainers working for over 12 months. So I'm looking forward to talking to Seann Walsh about all of these things. So if you're at home, get a brew on. If you're on the treadmill, get a move on, and enjoy my chat with Seann Walsh. Are we ready? Here we go. Seann Walsh, welcome. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you. Thank you for having me.
That's all right. You're very welcome indeed. So I've got so much to ask you. But first of all, we do guest rider on the podcast. And I thought we'd be on some sort of porn star martini, maybe, or something like that. But you've given us a cup of tea. What's going on, man?
Well, I love a tea.
Yeah.
And also, well, I don't drink anymore. But also, I do have a gig tonight, so I probably wouldn't have drank anyway.
Which is very sensible, I'm sure. But anyway,
tea is nice, good for a chat.
It is. And anyway, here's to you. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers. Thank you.
So just to set the scene, guys, as I mentioned from time to time, I did do some stand-up myself. And Seann is one of my favourite stand-up comedians of all time. And the irony here is that I started my comedy career only a few months after Seann. Seann went on to win just about every award under the sun, to do regular TV work, to do huge tours, and I packed up in disgrace about 4 years after I started. So,
what was your last gig?
My last gig was at the Slaughterhouse in Liverpool. I was in between Gary Delaney and Robin Ince, so I was like the middle spot.
Yeah,
and it was a lovely gig. It didn't go badly, but I was. Do you know what it is? I was at the point where I felt like I was clogging up the elevator.
Right.
Because there were some people who were so much more committed than me. And I thought, if I'm denying them stage time.
Wow, that's very selfless. Yeah, you weren't cut out for this. You can't be selfless in comedy.
No. So tell me then, what's your let's think right back to those first sort of few years. What's your record? Because I remember the first time you sort of came onto my radar was when you won the Chortle Award, which was about, what, 2008?
Probably. I don't know a lot about myself.
Do you not?
What a terrible interviewee. You're going to be asking me questions that I'm going to be going, I don't know. Can you tell me about me?
Well, I can't fill you in.
That sounds about right. I think I've still got that award somewhere.
So what's your recollection of that period?
all I remember about the period, I remember winning that award, being very chuffed. I think Frank Skinner gave it to me, I think. And I I thanked my mum. That really makes me cringe now. So just a chortle Best Newcomer award. And I thanked I was really sincere. Like I felt like I'd won an Oscar. And so, I won that. It was very exciting. It was an exciting time because everything was new. You know, you didn't know what to expect. You were just constantly on adrenaline. It was, for me, it was probably the best. This seems like it's sad at the same time. There's a sort of melancholy to it as well, I think. But that was, for me, the best period. The beginning.
Well, I mean...
And I've done things like, you know, I've been on a mixed bill at the O2 Arena. I've done, like, unbelievable things that I can't believe I have done. But there was something sort of naive and ignorant and pure about the beginning. You don't know what you're doing. You really don't know what you're doing, and you don't know what you're heading for, and you don't know where you're heading. There's something amazing about that.
Well, and as well, isn't it? Whatever you do with your life, the further along you go in your career, pressure sort of starts to come to the table, doesn't it? And that's not there at the start.
There's no expectations, so you sort of don't expect anything of. I didn't expect anything of myself, and it seemed like no one else did either. When you get older, especially if you're young and you're winning awards, then suddenly this guy's meant to go and be the thing, and then that, for me, wasn't fun, really, particularly.
And also...
quite lonely.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's the life of a comedian is pretty lonely, isn't it? Because if you're in a band, I suppose you've got your bandmates, and you've probably got people who carry your instruments for you. But when you're a comedian, it's just like you and a microphone, isn't it?
Well, yes. But, yes. It's being on stage alone isn't a problem. It's really, for me, it was like, at that young age, like in my early 20s, all my friends were, you know, they're in their early 20s, they're just bumming about and going to the pub, and I was having to leave. It sort of made me a bit ungrateful, I think, if I'm honest. I was having to leave my friends, leave the fun, to go to work, but a career. I had a career. Yeah. None of my friends had a career. They had the jobs or the education, the stepping bit before their career. Most of my friends really only started their career in their late 20s.
Yeah.
And so I felt I was a bit indignant. Oh, I'm having to go to that gig and leave. And I was on mixed bills with, in my eyes, like real adults. I felt like a kid. And then I'm in a green room with like people that have already been divorced. Wow, what? And so that was, and everyone was very nice, by the way. But there was just something that I didn't enjoy about that. I will always find, by the way, which is probably already apparent and will be apparent, I find the negative in the thing. I always think that I'll go into utopia, I'll find utopia, and I'll walk in and I'll go, it's too hot. Like there will be a problem. There's too many people. This is awful. Let's leave. I will find the negative in.
I think we're all a bit like that, aren't we?
Are we?
I am.
There are people that aren't though, or sort of apparently aren't. You know, people that I think they sort of sound like they've read a lot of self-help and all of that, which of course I don't have why would you have a problem with it? But you know, I'm just not like that. I can't. It doesn't sort of work on me. Yeah. But there are some people that there's so much self-belief and so much motivation that it intimidates me.
Yeah, because I mean, do you know what? It interests me because the sort of next stage of your career was pretty quickly after the awards. You started doing regular TV work on the likes of Mock the Week, Buzzcocks. And I mean, those environments, they've always seemed to me, the one thing I've never been able to get my head around about Mock the Week, I mean, it's a great show, but you've got 7
acts in the room for a half-hour show.
Yeah.
Is that like where everyone's sat thinking, how am I going to get my material in? Or is it like more of a relaxed environment?
Again, like, I think it was, and maybe everyone feels like this, but I did Mock the Week at a time, I think, I might be wrong, where it wasn't sort of common practice or place for young comics to be on things. You know, it's Frankie Boyle and I was, you know, the first one, Boyle's there and Parsons is there and Russell Howard, who I don't know how old Russell is, but he was already a star. And I think, who was I on with? God, I can't. Wow, isn't that amazing? I can't remember. Wow.
Well, you're doing well so far for someone who can't remember anything.
Yes,
so I'm quite encouraged so far.
Anymore. But what my point is that it was it was so scary because I didn't know anyone. So not only are you know, sometimes you come across a panel show nowadays. I'm flicking through. You see a Mock the Week, and it seems like, and again I might be wrong, but it seems like generationally that, you know, these people all gigged together. I imagine that changes the experience somewhat. If I was on a show now and my friends that did comedy were on the show, I'm sure that would lead to the experience being better. I assume better. I remember the first Mock the Week. I was shaking under the table. I mean, I was literally shaking. I was absolutely petrified. And I didn't know that you were meant to have writers. So I'm just like this 23-year-old kid on a television show. That, by the way, he's never watched.
Did you not?
No, I got to the show and I said, can I watch this?
Really? Just so you could sort of work out what it was about.
I'd obviously seen bits of, you know, I YouTubed bits, but I'd never actually seen it.
That is pretty impressive, to be fair, isn't it? I mean, you could have been walking onto Blockbuster or anything, couldn't you?
That's absolutely insane. But so I was petrified, yeah.
So what you mentioned about having writers.
Yeah.
I'm interested in that. So do you mean that because it's a topical news show that there were other acts there who have people sort of lining the material up for them?
Well, I don't think I'm disclosing anything that's unknown. You know, it's perfectly normal practice for comedians on these things to have a team of writers. You know, the amount they're having to work, and why wouldn't you sit with some friends and bounce ideas and you know, so you can be better on the show. Of
course.
But yeah, you're meant to have people going that you could say this, you could say this, you could say this. I remember being in Edinburgh because it was during the Edinburgh Festival, just with my friend who was he even doing comedy then? I think he was still doing some open spots, just going, what about that? I suppose that is a writer, but literally just my mate in the kitchen going, I could say this. It's not the same as a professional comedy writer going that. But yeah, I think most comics on the panel shows have some help.
Yeah, of course. And then obviously, then your CV over the next years, you were doing all of the main sort of mainstream TV comedy shows.
Yeah.
You had your own BBC show, didn't you? It was like a stand-up show.
Oh, that was
BBC Three, was it?
BBC Three, Seann Walsh's Comedy Spectacular.
That's right. That was what it was.
And we did one of that. Yeah, that was an Edinburgh show to highlight up and coming talent from the Edinburgh Festival.
And you were presenting it, weren't you?
And I was presenting it. Yeah, it was in the caves.
That's right.
But I don't remember much about that. Have you watched that?
Yeah, I've watched. Honestly, the homework I've done on you is quite phenomenal.
Wow.
So I know your life better than you do.
Yes, you do. I know my career. Yeah, I don't really. You know what? The only things I pick up from these things again, the negativity is that because Well, not because. I don't really know why. I always just assume it's age. I sort of blame my attitudes towards a lot of things on my age and my naivety and just not being, it's not grateful, but not understanding that to have your name on a show, a BBC show, is it's kind of extraordinary, I think. You know, the older you get, you sort of look back and go, what the bloody hell, you were like hosting like TV shows. It's quite remarkable, really, especially that I don't so much anymore. You know, you then realise that was quite bizarre. That was a chunk of your life where you were doing those things. So I didn't really enjoy it. I didn't really enjoy it, actually. No, I didn't really enjoy it. It was just a thing that I not had to do, but it's like, okay, oh, there's this show that you're hosting. Okay, right, I'll do that then. But it wasn't like an excitement. It wasn't a wow. Live at the Apollo, completely different story. When I did Live at the Apollo the first time, everything about that is how you should feel going into something.
Because you smashed it there.
You
were superb.
I had a wonderful time, and it's really, you know, it's what you want to do, isn't it? You see Jack D hosting that, and if you're not watching that show and going, what a dream it would be to play that, then I don't, you know, maybe you're not, but I don't really know. I can't relate to you. I don't know why you're doing this if you don't want to be there. And so it felt like everything was pointing to that. So that was completely different. That was excitement. That was everything, you know.
Well, let's talk about that, because for those who don't know, live at the Apollo, I mean, it's effectively a stand-up show, but it's been a staple of mainstream BBC television for some years now, and certainly from my perspective, the comedians who are at the top of their game tend to be the ones who are invited on. And I mean, just how did the experience of participating and performing live at the Apollo, how did that differ, if at all, from doing some of the other gigs you were at the time?
Live gigs or tele gigs?
Live gigs.
But it's the thing you've dreamt about. It's the thing you've envisioned. It's the thing that you couldn't sleep. It was just at the time, and I don't think it is the case anymore. I think it got moved to BBC Two, and they sort of changed the booking policy. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I think they changed the booking policy. What do you mean? Be like, I don't really know. But this was the World Cup final. This is the biggest thing you can do, and so all those other gigs would just be, they're just the training ground for Live at the Apollo, and I did it 3 times. The first one, hosted by Mickey Flanagan, you know, he's one of the biggest names in comedy in our country ever. And you know, I remember watching Mickey when he wasn't on telly and I wasn't doing comedy. And he would come out and I would say to whoever I was with, and I didn't remember anyone's name. You didn't really Google anyone. It wasn't just normal to just Google someone. There was no smartphone. And he would come out and I would know his act. And I would remember him from the last time I saw him, whoever I was with. I was like, this I don't know why this guy's not famous. Watch this. Watch this. This is going to blow your mind. And it was incredible. So he's then bringing me on. And so that's amazing. And then the second time was Jack D, one of my heroes. And now a friend, which is amazing. Well, he's my friend. I don't know if I'm his friend.
Well, I've got to move on to Jack in a minute because, of course, you work with him very successfully on TV. So we want to come to that. The other, I mean, just at the same time this TV work was happening, your touring was also really taking off. I mean, you've done some huge tours, haven't you? Sort of 80 dates, 60 dates.
I've done long tours, yes. Yes, I've done long tours and right. The first tour, Ramesh was my support act.
Oh, was he? Right.
Did you not know that?
No?
Ramesh Ranganathan, a wonderful man, was my support act. So that was good. That was good fun. But we never really went crazy. I tried to mainly behave on tour. It was good. It was good. It was. I don't really remember it. Tour. I think. I don't know if it was how I am. I don't know if it was how I imagined it was going to be. You just sat in a car for like 8 hours, going to some, town that you've never heard of, and you're exhausted, and you get out, and you've got to do it. But it was good. It was good fun.
And in terms of that life, sort of on the road, as you say, very tiring. What sort of gets you through? What keeps your enthusiasm for that up? Have you not worked that out yet?
If you know, can you tell me, please? I'd love to know. No, what? I don't know. You got to do the tour.
Yeah. So it's the contractual liability that keeps you enthusiastic.
Sean, why do you do this? It's my job, and I have to do it. It's a contractual liability. Yeah. Some of those tour shows were. You just look. The problem is that you are just, or I took it all for granted. So that's why it's not stuck in my head. Live at the Apollo you didn't take that for granted. So I can talk about that. I remember that feeling of when, I still lived in Brighton, and on the way to Hammersmith, where I now live, I remember waiting for the train on the platform, and I didn't care what anyone thought of me. I did my set on the platform. Not audibly, but I acted it out. You could have looked at the end of the platform and you would have seen me doing my Live at the Apollo set. Like, it was just everything. But then with the tour, I don't know why that wasn't, I took that for granted, and I don't know why that wasn't part of like the sort of same, I don't know why that wasn't part of the same parcel. I didn't have that. It was just, now you go and do the tour.
Yeah.
And it's funny, because we're having this conversation, and actually, I was with Ramesh the other night, and obviously he tours, and I don't know what another comic's answer would be for that, I don't know if my attitude is a sort of an anomaly. I don't know. It might actually, every other comic might be going, yeah, it's, you just do it. Or some people would be going, no, I get up, I can't wait, and they remember everything. I don't know.
Do you know what? There was, I looking back on my life, when things have been really good,
yes,
you don't take a moment, do you? You don't. I mean, it's interesting you say you did on the Apollo, and that I can understand why. But I look back at the periods of my life where things have been, pretty comfortable sailing, and you tend to just go with the flow, don't you? You don't sort of pause and think, wow,
exactly.
Long may it continue.
Exactly. So yeah, that's exactly it. Well, I don't know. Would you still have that now? Are you talking about? Because I don't think I would have that now. I think I'm.
That is a really good question.
You become a lot more. You get older. I think the value of life a bit more.
I think you're right.
And so you to sort of cherish it a bit strong, but just appreciate.
Yeah.
It's just appreciating this good day.
Yeah.
I'm having.
Yeah.
I'm having a nice day. This is great. Most days aren't. It's not that they're not nice, but it's hard to have a good day. I think it's hard to. You've got to put the effort in to have a good day.
You have.
So
no, that's right.
You get older and you appreciate that sort of thing a bit.
You
more.
do. Just we're going to break in a minute, but I wanted to talk about one piece of your TV work because I absolutely love it. Was Bad Move.
Oh, great!
Which was, the cast.
I did appreciate that.
You did.
I got to work with, Jack Jack D wrote that with Pete Sinclair, and they called me in to do an audition, and I did it. And, you know, I saw Jack live at the Brighton Dome when I was 17. So that I was a 17-year-old kid and I'm watching Jack D, and then, you know, fast forward and he's written a part that you're now playing with him. I adored every second of that. I was very gutted when that didn't get commissioned.
But there was some confusion on that, because I was reading about it, and you did 2 series, didn't you? Just to paint the picture, it was a fantastic sitcom. I mean, without I hope I can say this, ITV has not fallen over itself for great sitcoms, and it was certainly one of the best sitcoms I've seen on ITV for quite some years.
Yeah.
It was well received. The second series took place, and I saw some press where there seemed to be some confusion about whether it had been decommissioned, or is there any chance of another series?
Yeah, there was a weird I know what you're talking about. There was a weird thing, wasn't there, where they'd announced that it hadn't been commissioned, and then someone came out and said, "Oh no, it's not that it's not been commissioned. We've not been commissioned. We've not made the decision yet."
Right.
But then it didn't get commissioned.
Oh, right. So that's...
No, it won't be happening again. But it was so much fun. Miles, and it was hilarious.
Kerry Godliman was on it, wasn't she? And obviously Jack D himself was...
Jack, it was just wonderful to be on set with those people. And you know, because the common question you get is, you know, acting or stand-up. And the thing I loved about being on that sitcom was the collaborative process. And I genuinely felt this, and I'm not just saying it. And I think people may mean this, but again, maybe I'm being naive, is that you're all having to do your best to make this thing the best thing it can be. That's a team effort. That's a collaborative, you know, process. And with stand-up, it's all about you. I actually hate that. I hate that it's all about me. I can't stand it. It's just, I've got to go out again. It's me. I'm going to talk about me. I'm so bored of me. Just that in Bad Move. You know, Grizzo wasn't me. And certainly, you know, we certainly don't see what the world the same. And so that was so much fun to be that energetic and enthusiastic character against Jax.
But you were made for that part. I'm not just saying that, man. I thought you were fantastic. And the way you're there was something classically comedic about the part for me. And then the way you played it.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. I'll tell you a thing, because it's sort of like, how is it? Chris, bloody hell, what is that? All right, Steve. How's it going, Steve? You're right. I can't even remember his voice now. It's been so long. But it was sort of basically, it sort of sounded a bit like that. Steve, how's it going? You're right.
Yeah.
And but it's very enthusiastic. It's going to be great. And when I was asked to maybe find a voice, because actually my sort of what's the word? Dulcet tones.
That's
against Jax, you wouldn't have that.
Got you.
That gap that you need. It would be too much like Jack.
Yeah.
So it needed to be something else, and it needed to be energetic. And I was and this isn't for the young, but I was at Camden, and I was at the Hawley Arms, and I was in the beer garden, and it was a great summer's night, and it was one of those. We'll all have experienced this, that, you know, when it's just going off in the pub and everyone is having the best time of summer's day, and actually what was loads of individual tables and groups of people has now become one group. You know that?
Yeah, absolutely.
The pub, it's just like, this is a party now in a garden. This is amazing. And suddenly a tube went by and it really rocked everyone. No one was expecting the tube. They were talking, summer's day drinking. Tube went by with that sort of rollicking sound, and everyone went, oh, like that. This guy jumped on the table, and he went like, let us on!
On the tube?
On the tube. The tube is going, lesson! And I went, and it really made me laugh. He was young, he was good looking, he looked like up for it, he was having the time of his life. And he...
Let us on.
And I went to him like, bloody hell, like, you're in a good mood. And he went, of course I'm in a good mood. The sun's shining, people are around, I'm on cocaine. And so when they said you've got to find a voice, I thought of him. Because Grizzo didn't drink and Grizzo was recovering.
That's right, because he was a rock musician, wasn't he?
Yeah, and a
That's
sort of
right.
producer. And I thought that was Grizzo before he quit boozing. That's who I'm going to do. I'm going to be... So whoever you are, young man, your summer's day out in Camden is basically who Grizzo is.
Well, listen, I want to come back to this in the second part, man, because just visibly there when you were talking about that, your whole demeanour was joyful, and I love it. So I want to come back to that when we talk about the future, because that's really important.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a very, very quick break, guys. My recommendation for the week is coming next. Other side of half time, we're back with Seann Walsh. It's going to be bloody good, you know.
It's half time, friends. My recommendation this week is a documentary on Netflix which is called The Last Dance. It chronicles the remarkable achievements of the Chicago Bulls basketball team in the late 90s, and particularly the achievements of Michael Jordan, who was their star player. Now, first of all, I did watch this previously during the first lockdown, and I know nothing about basketball. I actually don't think the most interesting part of the story is about the sport. It's about the characters involved, and it's about their different approaches to success and what they gain from it. Even if you have seen it, if you're enjoying the podcast, I would suggest you rewatch it, because it's so interesting just to see what the different characters in there have got from their success, how intense they've been, how committed they were, and how it's left them at the latter stages of their life. So that's The Last Dance. It's on Netflix now. I would recommend it. And now it's back to the podcast with Seann Walsh. He's great, isn't he?
Okay, guys, part two. We're back with Seann Walsh. Seann, thanks once again for doing this, my friend.
Pleasure.
Part one was excellent. We've talked so much about the fantastic first 10 years of your career, and I've told you just how much I admire what you did. In recent years, there's been some challenges. Just first of all, Seann was a contestant on a show in the UK called Strictly Come Dancing, which, for those who don't know, is a show where celebrities learn and then perform a number of different dance routines. During the course of recording that show, photographs came to light of Seann and his dance partner kissing. What followed from that was a media and a social media storm, I think it's fair to describe it, which anyone, as I said, would find hugely difficult. And clearly it was something which, well, as I said, I can't really improve on that anyone would have found very tricky. To put it mildly, just talk to me first of all, Seann, about those first few weeks after the show. Obviously, this was a period of real distress. Who did you have around you then, supporting you through it?
Whoa, bloody hell! My friends were amazing, and and when I say my friends, of course, I include my management. Obviously, that something like that, I think, creates a stronger bond, and my family. But it was a very difficult thing to, you put obviously no one meant to to put anyone through that, but because of a kiss, you've then put all of these people under incredible amount of stress. For my mum and certainly my mum too. I felt like I've never spoken to her about it, to be honest. they don't have the internet at home, so she won't come across this. But to put, what did that do to my mum? It must have been horrific. So that came with a lot of guilt, but also the stress that it put your agent. He signs you because he thinks, oh, here's the money. Gonna put him on some shows. Get a cut of that stupid act he does.
So this wasn't in his job description.
This wasn't in his job description, and to put him through that and his family through that, a lot of guilt came with that. But because it was you going through it. You certainly were experiencing something, but the fact that you were on your sort of, such an incredibly lonely, isolating thing to go through. So, everyone did have to sort of look out for me, but I know it was very stressful for everyone else as well.
No, I understand, man. And I mean, obviously because the podcast is about success, but it's about succeeding through struggle. I just wondered, during times when you felt anxious and under attack, I think is fair to say, because I know this didn't just cease with the cessation of the show, for example, and that you've had to deal with criticism in the longer term from some parties. Have you developed any strategies or ways in which to manage that?
Antidepressants. Medication and exercise.
Because you're a runner, aren't you?
I've been pretty terrible the last few weeks, but yes, I tried to normally run. Actually, I ran yesterday. I ran 7K yesterday. Knackered myself out before the 5 gigs. So exercise is very important, and I had to stop drinking, and that was just because I think anyone under that would probably kill themselves if they were hungover. You couldn't. I don't think I would have got through that if I wasn't. If I wasn't sober, it was just unreal. So you go, if I'm going to survive this, you've got to run. You've got to go for a run. You've got to exercise. You've got to not drink, because we're in this. This isn't going to be sorted in a few months. We're in this for the long haul. So that's it. Don't drink, run. I think company is very important.
Absolutely.
Talking. It doesn't have to be talking about it. It just has to be company. Not in your own head.
Absolutely.
And it takes a long time. Look, there are other people that might have been okay with. I sometimes you glimpse at the tabloids and you see these celebrities whose sort of job it seems to be, and I don't understand much about celebrity culture, but it seems to be the job is you are a celebrity and you do, you get papped doing things and all of that, and it's all sort of part of it. I'm not someone that was built for that, and I certainly wasn't built for some of the things that were written about me and that I came across myself. Your job as a comedian is essentially, some people disagree with this, but you want to be liked. You go out, you want to be liked, and people say, who did you like the most? I like that guy. I liked her. I didn't like him. It's all about like, and then you were sort of, I was getting taken from both, from really to be like sort of tabloid fodder, but then there was also like the broadsheets were saying these things as well, and you're just going like, what is going on? To wake up with that, it was every day was just it. It's been about 3 years now, but that's a good couple of years of just going like, I can't I can't cope with this. It was just, you know, you know, what I don't know what to say.
Well,
but you know, that's what we did.
Just to give you some feedback, I've got to say I give you such a lot of credit for a number of things there. The first thing is that in terms of developing the ways through this, you've told me three things there. Number one is that you sought help. And I'm afraid us men have a problem with that. This is something I've talked about quite a lot, that mental health with men seems to be a particular issue. People recognising that they need help, whether that's from the doctor, whether it's from some form of therapy. So well done you.
There's a lot of therapy as well. Therapy helped. But look, it's not advice. Because it's not advice, it's how I dealt with it. Most people shouldn't be going through, you know, I don't know how each individual copes with their own difficulties. But when you're going through this thing very publicly and people, I remember when there was people were, I did Edinburgh Festival. Well, I had to do I had written the show based on the sort of week following the photo. So I didn't really, you know, people would think that would be quite cathartic, but it was for the first few weeks when I was doing it on tour. But then to relive it every day in Edinburgh, where you were giving quite a sort of honest account of...
Sure.
You were giving you were coming off what had been in the public domain. And so, because you don't want to, you know, I have my own version, but I don't want to create another story.
No.
Do you know what I mean? So you're there, like you're doing the show, and then people are tweeting that. I remember someone tweeted that they had seen someone trying to fly on my show, and someone's, you know, comedy, Seann Walsh, and the guy said something like, "Oh, I don't, you know, unfunny cunts, whatever." Fine, you know, absolutely fine. And we live in an age where, you know, that unfortunately comes with the job. People are going to make their opinion of you. They're going to post that. That's part and parcel.
Well, it is, because as an artist, I mean, you can't please all the people all the time. So if it's criticism of your act, well, I mean, that probably does go with the territory. But this went much further than that, didn't it?
What I was going to say, what became difficult to cope with was this tweet sort of not viral, but it got like hundreds of retweets and likes and people laughter emote. There was a joyfulness of this event. So you can't quite believe that people are enjoying your, what is it that you're having, this downfall, this sort of this.
Well, it's unhappiness, isn't
yes.
it? They're enjoying. They
they're
seem to be
enjoying
reveling in your
and
unhappiness.
I think because the kiss was it's justified. Sort of mankind is at its happiest when it can justify its evil. So people could hate me, and yes, he's fucked, and we hate him, and because he did a wrong thing, so we can hate him. We're allowed to hate him. He's an asshole. So you're at the end of that. That's extraordinary to live through that.
And do you know when I was prepping? First of all, thank you for sharing all of that with us. I mean, when I was prepping for this, I was thinking about how we were going to just sort of structure the chat. There's an irony, isn't there, here? Because some parts of the press and the social media have portrayed you as a love rat, someone who's short on morals. But it occurred to me that if that were true, you probably would have thrown it over your shoulder. Whereas as you've taken this so much on board, surely that is evidence to everyone that you're not the things that they're saying about you. Because someone who was low on morals would probably just say, well, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I don't...
Do you see where I'm coming from?
Life is complicated. Life is not what is printed in an article in a newspaper. So it's totally ridiculous, and people are complex and made of thousands of different, and
situations are complex, and one photograph or however
and
many
relationships are complex,
correct,
and friendships are complex, and everything is complex. So yeah, to be suddenly pinned down, it was bizarre. But maybe, if I hadn't really been in the spotlight before, so maybe there are, like I said, maybe there are sort of these celebrities where it just would have been, oh, we got caught, did we? And then there's the PR move, and there's this and there's that, but I didn't know what I was. I was a guy. I was a comedian. I was quite a self-deprecating comedian. Quite a self-deprecating person who was on a dance show. So then you're like, what the fuck? So maybe some people would have been fine with that, So I imagine there are characters, people that are built for, they're gonna take it on, or they're gonna use it to ride it or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. Well, the love rat thing. I mean, if you're gonna go on a dance show, and then you are gonna get caught kissing a dance partner, and then a tabloid calls you a love rat, you can't complain. That's not what we're talking about here. No. Do you know what I mean? That's absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's my bad.
Sure. Well, of course, and you acknowledge that. I mean, just a couple of things, because I've got so much to talk to you about the future. But I suppose just to finish off, the fact that you've sought help, the fact that you've controlled those things that you've been able to, i.e., that you stopped drinking, you took up more exercise. I mean, I'm not one for giving advice. I have no right to, but certainly it appears to me that if you are in a period of unhappiness, to control your well-being as best you can. It seems to me to be a very smart way of seeking to manage a difficult situation. Yeah.
I mean, do you know what? I think I said this before once on something else, or maybe I've just said it in chat a lot. But it's very funny the way that my female friends and my male friends, they're what to say came in very different. What's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? It came in different forms. That'll do, yes. Thank you. But that's exactly it. It came in.
You could do your material when you go back on Mock the Week.
Please. But it came in very different forms, because men is, it'd be all right.
Yeah.
It'd be all right. It'd be all right. It'd be fine. Everything would be all right. Pub.
Yeah.
Be sure you don't have a drink. Are you sure? If you have a drink, you won't feel better. It'd be all right. Don't worry about it. No one reads it anyway. I wouldn't know about it if I didn't know you were in it. I wouldn't even know.
Well, we've all got mates like that, haven't we? A few people I know are springing to mind straight away.
But then I noticed that it's almost like every woman said, be good to yourself. That was really interesting. That really stayed with me. That I noticed, I was like, every woman keeps on saying, be good to yourself.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? And so, what does that mean? What do you mean by that? Be good to yourself. Well, you have to assume that what that means is this is a period where you're gonna. The only way sort of through this is to be good to yourself. Well, running, not drinking, eating well, therapy, the rest of it. So yeah, I thought that stayed with me. Be good to yourself. Funny, isn't it?
You know what? That's beautiful. It's something which I think is totally consistent with what we talk about on the podcast in terms of.
But can I just interrupt? There's something that's just popped into my head.
Please do,
because I obviously I speak about it on a few occasions. You talk about this sort of thing, but I've seen the reaction when I talk about this is that people online at least get angry that they're saying that the person that kissed his dance partner is now being the victim. He's made himself the victim of. So I'm not doing that. What I'm saying is, this is what happened. So I don't know what you want me to do here. I'm not going.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
you know,
and
I don't really. That, you know, you can have. You can do something and then and these are the look. Okay, I'm not the victim. Here are the repercussions. Would you prefer that, everyone? You know, like, I don't know what you want. That I'm saying this is the repercussion. And many people really, I thought, when there was a bit of a backlash last time I talked about it, people were saying, like, how has he made himself the victim? It's like, are you not listening to what I'm saying? You should be overjoyed. You seem to hate me. I had a terrible time. Just be happy about that, okay? Don't stop getting more angry at me. I had a tough time. You can enjoy that. I'm not trying to go, everyone feels sorry for me. I'm here. We're talking about what it was like. That's what it was like. So I don't know what. Well, that's the point. You're meant to do.
The other one, isn't it, is that, I mean, there was this phrase in media and social media, and what you said earlier about what the advice from your female friends just got me thinking. This phrase, be kind, that started to be raised, I think it was a couple of years or so ago. And I found that encouraging insofar as it seemed to me to be an acknowledgement that really who gets gratification, where are the gains from people being constantly trolled and abused and harassed. But I mean, I'm just not sure that's be kind has really been followed through into action in terms of what happens in the media and what happens in social media. And the second point I just wanted to make quickly was, you're definitely not coming across that you want to be a victim. You're coming across as someone who is very transparently sharing how you managed to get through a period of unhappiness and of devastation. It seems to me that intentionally or not is going to help people. So I give you a lot of credit, mate. I've enjoyed hearing you talk about it, and I've certainly taken a good bit from that as well. Are you happy just for us to move on to the future?
Yes. Quickly.
Sure. Well, that was amazing. I mean, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And from my perspective, I found it both interesting. You come across as incredibly sincere. I know there will be people listening and watching who are going through unhappy periods at the moment, who can take inspiration and can take knowledge from what you've done and how you've managed to manage, how you've been able to manage the period of time. So it's great to have you here. COVID is now, fingers crossed, is coming to a close. I know that you're gigging regularly again now. How's it been, this first period of being back to gigging, back to work?
Oh, well, it's been well, I did a lot of writing in the lockdown 3 and the trilogy, the end of the trilogy, the last installment, hopefully, and so it's just getting, you know, the indoor gigs are social distanced, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. One thing I did forget is that when you write your stuff, no matter how much you sort of put in, how much you concentrate. It was the first gig back, like just a few minutes in, and things hadn't gone how I had necessarily imagined they were going to go. And you go, every time you remember whilst you're up there, you go, oh yeah, it's a process. Oh no, I forgot about this. Like, you have to work. It's not just you rock up, you do the stuff you wrote, bang, we're off. It's like bits do that, but not every bit does that. And you, oh God, I forgot about the process. So just in the middle of the process, you know, and sometimes it's going great and sometimes it's not, but that's always the journey. That's never not been the journey. So here we are again going, oh God, try this bit, try that bit. But when it pays off, it's fantastic.
Well, it is. It's a wonderful job when you're smashing it. So we're here, June 2021. What are your goals in the next sort of couple of years?
Oh, goals. Goals. I think I don't really. Do you? Are you like a goal guy?
Well, I'm definitely not like in
a goal guy.
Yeah,
You're
Stacey's nodding.
Plans and plans.
Yeah, I'm
a
hugely annoying planner. Because obviously, because I'm in business, you kind of get paid to do that to some extent.
Yeah.
But when I talk about a goal, I'm not talking about less like sort of a financial goal. I'm just talking about what's next. So where I wanted to go was just effectively, you did fantastic TV, you did fantastic tours. I know that you still have your podcast.
Yes.
Which talk to me about the podcast first. What are you looking forward to in that?
The podcast is. I know all the comics have the podcast, but I'm really happy with ours. It's myself and my good friend Paul McCaffrey, who's been on Live at the Apollo as well. One of the country's best, and we talk to each other pretty much on a daily basis. We have these phone conversations. It's just got our phone. I mean, they last about an hour every day. It's him moaning about his life, me moaning about my life. And one day, I think I was in New York, and I said, like, he was really making me laugh. And I said, this is a podcast. We should put this out as a podcast, but just this. No introduction, no ending. Just 15 minutes. Exactly, and it's exactly 15 minutes. It's called What's Upset You Now? And I don't know what Paul's going to say, and Paul doesn't know what I'm going to say. And we go, right, start, we press record, and one of us will start on what's annoyed us that week. And it's just 15 minutes. And it doesn't matter where we are in the conversation. It just goes, the bell rings, like the last order's bell, and that's it. So it's going great, 15 minutes, and, people binge them.
It's a cracking podcast. It really is. It's great.
It's
great
so
fun.
much fun to do because we make each other laugh so much. And the fact that it's just 15 minutes, and because it's so short, people can sometimes like a podcast is like 2 hours long, and so this is just 15 minutes, pop to the shop, run the bath. It's their post-coital hug after you've had sex, put me and Paul on, to slowly enter you back into the real world. It just, the energy, we're shouting at each other and we disagree a lot on a lot of things, and then we moan more. So it's so much fun. It's like, that's almost therapy. We do it doing the podcast and just get it all out.
It's talking, isn't it?
Yeah.
The 2 points in this conversation where you've clearly been reminiscing the most positively have been Apollo.
Yes.
And Bad Move.
So what you've basically noticed is I don't like travelling. That's what you've honed in on. Is I don't think he likes going around the country. Yeah, no.
But where I was going is that they are not in the dim and distant past. They I mean, certainly Bad Move was the last series was relatively recently, a couple of years ago. I think it came out in 2019. I'm sure I watched it in 2019.
Probably.
Have you got aspirations to do further sitcom work in the future?
We'd love to. I wrote a sitcom in lockdown with James. Again, we've all written a sitcom. I've written many sitcoms, but the last one I took to James Kettle, who's a great writer, and he works with Miles Jupp and Joe Lycett and Jack Whitehall, and I came to him with this character and this idea, and he added to it brilliantly. It's improved it so much, and it's great. And so you never know. You have to, all I can do is my bit. I can't make a sitcom happen unless I write it. No one's going to do it for me. But at the same time, I can't commission my sitcom. I can't give myself the money to make it, but I can write it. So I'll do my bit. I'll always do my sort of side of the deal. And I think it's really good. I would say that because I wrote it. Well, I might not say that, but I do. I would love to make it because I think people would love it. It's about a very self-obsessed, egotistical, dysfunctional, sort of bedraggled, alcoholic, misanthropic therapist.
Well, I'm sold.
And he's actually a good therapist, but his personal life is utter shambles, and obviously it bleeds into his work. He's quite a despicable human being, and I sort of thought of as you do with these things, imagine the billboard, on the underground in London. Who would be the last person you'd want as your therapist, and then just a big picture of me.
So tell me then.
Smoking. It's called. His name's Rowan, and he would be so much because he's a despicable, selfish, just awful person.
So tell me, what's the process you've got to go through to get commission? Then I suppose just as a sub question to that.
Tell me, I don't know.
Do you think? Because obviously, I mean, we do this podcast. I'm interviewing some famous, some successful people. If I knocked on the BBC's door and said, "Can you give me a chat show, please, guys?" Well, I get laughed out of town, but I'm still sat here talking to Seann Walsh. Is there any equivalent to that in the comedy world where you could produce a sitcom and put it out there without sort of a major label support?
Hey, look at here we are in Liverpool, and look at the fantastic work done by Adam Rowan, Dan Nightingale.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. I don't know the guys too well, but I think it's fantastic.
It's a great show. Yeah.
I don't think anyone, but just, and the show was I did it and it was great fun. But just to make that happen yourself.
Yeah, this is the Have a Word podcast, by the way, guys. It's
yeah.
It's
in fact, the episode I'm on, I think has just come out. But the only problem is I just don't. Yeah, there are some people. I imagine if Adam Rowe wanted to make a sitcom, he would get it done. I wouldn't know where that's not where I can write it and I can perform it but honestly, I mean, I really can't organise.
But
full stop. I can't do anything. I find everything impossible.
Well, but I've got to say that as
I do. It's just
as a situation, what you've just described clearly works from a comedy perspective.
Let me tell you something. This is what it's like being me. A few weeks ago, I had a gig in Bristol, okay? And I had to get the train, I think, at 6 o'clock. And I think it was 2 o'clock, or it's half, I can't remember now. I think it was like 3 o'clock. So I had hours. And the Paddington station is half an hour from my house. So I thought, I'll go for a run. 7K, it's about 40 minutes, okay? I thought, what I'll do, problem is I don't like running back on myself. So I'll run to Paddington and get the tube home. It's a bit weird, but I thought I could just rest on the tube, come down, get in the shower, mooch about, and then I'll get the tube to Paddington. I'll go to Bristol. I run to Paddington, 7K, get to Paddington. The tube lines are down, right? So it's okay. I've still got hours. It's fine. I'll take a stroll. I'll jump in a cab. I take a stroll. I jump in a cab. I get this guy, this taxi driver, lovely man. He's going, hello, sir. Where'd you like to go, sir? Keeps calling me sir. I go, oh, yeah, Shepherd's Bush, please. We go to Shepherd's Bush. I go, all right, sir. We'll just take the West Way. Should be about 10 minutes, sir. Fantastic. That's fantastic. Thank you very much. We talk about comedy. We get onto the West Way, which is sort of motorway that goes through London. It stalls. It stops. We can't move. We're stuck in the West Way for about an hour. He's going, I've never seen anything like it, sir. I've seen nothing like it, and nothing like it, sir. I've been doing this job for 15 years. I've never seen anything like it, sir. I don't know what's happened. Helicopters, sirens are going off. I think it's a terrorist attack, sir. I have to say, I think it's a terrorist attack. It's got to be a terrorist attack. I can't get out the car. I'm on a bridge that is a motorway. You can't get out the car. Sorry, sir, I don't know what to do. I'm going to have to take you around the houses. I'm going to have to go round the back roads, sir. That's the only way we're going to do this. I'm going to have to go all the way around the back roads, but we'll get you there. Now it's been about an hour. So we managed to get off the West Way. We go around the back roads. But of course, now, because of the app Waze, all the other cars are taking the back roads. They know the routes better than the taxi drivers. They've got the app. Every turning he takes, I don't believe it. How do they know, sir? I can't believe it. Have they done the knowledge? No, I think they've got the app Waze. Oh, right, okay, that's the problem with these Uber drivers and stuff. They don't know the knowledge. They've got an app. They're cheating. So he manages to get me through to this one of these main roads near my house. And we're getting there. So, but of course, now I found out Paddington, the underground line is shut. So I can't now get the tube to Paddington. So what am I going to do? I'm thinking, I don't know what I'm going to... I can't get a cab because look what's happened. Apparently there's been a terrorist attack. We're driving onto the main road. All these cars are coming the other way with their windows down like it's Independence Day or 2012. They're going, you got to turn round. You turn round. It's going, what's going on? We don't know. You got to turn round. Like, how is this? I've run 7K. I've not had any water. I've not eaten. What's going on? You got to turn around. People are like screaming. Because like people, like people are running away from zombies. They're coming round. What's happening? We don't know. I go, I better get out here. I'll get out here. Thank you very much, sir. I've capped it at 20. Don't you worry, sir. I get out. I get onto the main road. There is an anti-vax march. Thousands and thousands of people, all with signs, you're taking away our freedom. They're not taking away your freedom, just don't get the bloody vaccine. I've got to get to Bristol, right? So we go in, and all of these people, they, no disrespect of, of what you believe or whatever,
Sure,
but it's, they tend to, a lot of these people tended to look like they were in the bottom sets for everything at school. And I'm sorry, but that's just what it looked like. And maybe you weren't, but what was frightening is some of them looked like they were in set 2. That was what was frightening. When you look like, they didn't have a United Kingdom flag or any of that stuff. People with megaphones, why would you want to be louder? Shush, let's go to Bristol. So I'm walking through it, and there are fights kicking off. People, you weren't, you're wearing the mask, everyone's kicking off. It's like, I can't believe it. Some guy looked at me, he went, what are you looking at? And I went, what are you going to do about it? I'm joking. I shit my pants. I carried on walking. Excuse me, sorry. And I carried on walking. And so I get into my flat. I shower. There's no time to eat. I've still not eaten. I have some water, right? 2 glasses of water, shower. I get on a Boris bike. He's got a bike. This buffoon has got a bicycle named after him. I've run 7K. Okay, about 2 hours ago. I've not eaten. I've had 2 glasses of water. I've now got to cycle 7K. So I'm now cycling 7K to Paddington, where I was. I was at Paddington. I was already there. So I'm now cycling in and out, trying to get to Paddington. I get to Paddington, right? I've got about 10 minutes. I'm dripping with sweat. All these people, lovely looking people, all out with their cocktails, having a wonder. I'm walking through. Excuse me. I looked, and imagine someone recognised me. Is that guy what's happened to Skin? I can't find the Boris dock. I can't find a place to put my bike. I don't know where. I've got a big Boris, but where do I put it? I'm at where I've got to be. The train is there, and I can't get on the train because I've got a bike that's not mine, and I don't know where to put it. I'm now walking around Paddington looking for a dock. I get to this staircase. There's a staircase, a bridge. So I see a dock at the other side of the bridge. There's a staircase that goes up right over the bridge. These Boris bikes, they're heavy. They're about as heavy as Boris, right? They're heavy, these things. And I'm picking it up and I'm trying to get, and you've got the wheel that's spinning round, banging off machines. I'm just dripping with sweat. Bike like this. This family walked down the stairs. You think they'd move out the way? No, I had to stop. Oh, God, after you, just don't mind me. No, it's not like I'm in a rush. Enjoy your day. Yeah. I managed to get the bike to the top of the stairs, right? I get the bike to the top of the stairs. I look down. There's a slope at the side of the steps so you can wheel your bike up the steps. I can't believe it. Oh, my God. So I get to the dock. I put the bike in the dock, right? I've ran 7K. I've cycled 7K. I haven't eaten. I've had 2 glasses of water. The train station is now about 2 minutes away. The train is about 5 minutes. I'm trying to run. I can't. I'm running. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. I've got no energy. I look deranged. And I'm actually, excuse my French, I'm effing. I'm like, people are like, I'm going, you've got to get out of my way. I can't breathe. Sorry. I get to the train station. They've cut off the roads. They've blocked the roads. There's building work. There's now diversions away from my train. I just gave up. I gave up. I couldn't run anymore. So now I just walk to the train station where I've missed my train. Then it says train delayed. The train is delayed. The train's delayed. Normally people delay. This is terrible. It's delayed. I get the ticket, I buy the card. I get on the train. I have 2 glasses of water. I'm just deranged. The shop's closed. A trolley comes past. All they've got is mini cheddars.
It's not the sustenance you were after, was it, really?
There's no protein in mini cheddars.
No.
So I just sat on a train for 2 hours with 2 packs of mini cheddars and a bottle of water. Just like...
So I think just summarising this, I'm still backing you to make that sitcom. Do you know what, guys? I mean, I always say I know why Joe Rogan needs 3 hours, but I could go on.
Sorry.
No, man. I could go on talking to you all day. I just want to finish with one final question, because obviously this podcast is Success Won't Come Calling. What does in the years ahead? What does success look like to Seann Walsh?
What is success? Where do I end up in life? And I go, we did
just
it.
How would you be feeling? What would you be doing? And what would make you feel successful?
Oh God.
Well, shall I give you my answer first?
I should have really, given the name of the podcast, come prepped with that and ready to say what the answer is.
Well, my answer is, for me, that if I'm happy and healthy, that gives me the platform to do anything else.
Yes. Shall I just say ditto?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Ditto. Yes, that's healthy, happy. Yeah, good one. No, yes, I think that, and just enjoy. Just to try and just be. You get older and just appreciate.
Absolutely.
Just appreciate what you've got and what you're doing. Unless Paddington's shut.
Well, I've really appreciated having you on the podcast as a guest, Seann. You're one of the finest comedians to emerge from the UK in the last 15 years or so. I know that you're going to get back to all of your aspirations after this period. And he's been an absolute joy, hasn't he, guys? So let's give it for Seann Walsh.
Do I clap? I don't clap.
No, don't, mate.
So Seann Walsh, what a guy.
He's a born performer, isn't he?
He is.
I'm not surprised that
least,
he's made such a career as a comedian and an actor. He's got funny bones, Seann. And it was apparent that he loves performing. He loves writing and creating comedy. And he was a different podcast guest because I couldn't really keep Seann too closely to the theme of the podcast, but I think what came across was that he's a bundle of energy, he's a bundle of creativity. I had a great time talking to him.
Well, I think that's Seann all over, because I've told him he needs a PA. He was pretty unorganised.
You need someone to look after him.
Oh, 100%. So if anyone's listening who needs to look after Seann Walsh, yes. But you know what? One thing I did find about that podcast, I found it pretty sad in areas, because he did go through a bit of an ordeal with the whole Strictly Come Dancing thing.
Yeah.
And what I found was that he was having to justify everything he said, because he gets attacked on social media and everybody jumps on things that he says. And I just think in this day and age, that's sadly how the world's gone. And of course it made me cry, because every week somebody makes me cry. So, I had a little tear for him.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wanted to work past that as quickly as I can, for two reasons. First of all, because I think everyone involved in that series of events has a right to move on. Mm-hmm. And that's why I didn't want to name names. I didn't want to go into too much detail. And I would say the right to move on includes Seann, in my opinion. And all I would say on the proposition you've just done, Stace, because I agree with you, that I think that we should be kind in life. I think we should be prepared to forgive. And that I wish Seann all the very best, because he's built one very successful career as a comedian and as an actor. He's done everything there is to do in the comedy and showbiz area at such a young age, because of a series of events, including COVID. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
He's in a situation where he has to rebuild, and I wish him the very best of luck in doing that.
No, me too. I really do as well.
So thank you to Seann Walsh, another great episode of Success Won't Come Calling. That is it for me and Stacey for this week. We hope to see you back again soon, guys. This is the podcast for people who want to be better tomorrow than they were today. See you all soon.